You never know. Section 1. Eric lingers in the doorway of Connie's bedroom, watching her sleep peacefully. He contemplates the journey that has led him to this moment. Roughly 3 years prior, Eric had set up an account on MemoPad. While searching for acquaintances to connect with, he stumbled upon Connie Shamer, his high school crush. He reached out with a buddy request, which she accepted. Following that, he initiated a conversation with a direct message asking her how she was doing.
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
And that was the end of the conversation. Every couple of days, Eric would reach out to Connie with a message, casually asking about her day and expressing a desire to meet and chat. Her replies were brief and noncommittal. Then, about a month after their initial exchange, Connie agreed to meet. This filled Eric with excitement. The prospect of reconnecting with Connie was thrilling. He had originally created his MemoPad account because he felt disconnected and alone. His routine was monotonous: work, then home to the solitude of video games in his parents' basement. The idea of breaking this cycle was invigorating. He had indulged in daydreams where he and Connie rekindled their acquaintance, which blossomed into deep love, leading to marriage, children, and a blissful life in a quaint home edged by a white picket fence. Section 2. The Reconnect. Eric had made an extra effort with his appearance. Keeping it real, for Eric, it didn't take much to be considered extra. He showered, which is something he only did when his mother told him he was getting a little funky. He put on his favorite shirt, a clean pair of jeans, and he ran a comb through his hair. Then off he went to meet Connie. They had met up at a local burger shop and talked about what had been going on in their lives.
Pretty much right after high school, I got pregnant and had a son. I named him Jack. The relationship with his father didn't work out. Let's see. About 15 years ago, I got married and had 2 more kids, Jilly and Jude. The marriage failed, so I've been divorced for about 5 years now. Things haven't been easy, and quite frankly, I'm struggling to make ends meet. Oh. Anyway. You know what, let's not talk about that right now. I have thought of you often and was so glad you buddy requested me. I really hope we can see a lot more of each other.
This is just what Eric had wanted to hear. He couldn't believe that his high school crush had actually been thinking about him throughout the years. Section 3. Rapid pace. Things swiftly progressed. Within a couple of weeks, he was referring to Connie as his girlfriend. He felt like he was on top of the world. Approximately 2 months later, Connie had said to Eric,
I am pregnant. What are we going to do? I have Jilly and Jude, and I don't think I can manage having another child and raising it by myself.
But you won't be raising the child by yourself. I'll be here. Just calm down.
You'll be here? We've only been together a little while.
I'll be here. Why don't we get married?
Married? It's way too soon.
It was way too soon for you to get pregnant, but here we are.
Yeah, you're right. Let me think. Why don't you move into my apartment, and that will give us some time to get to know each other better. And if things go well, we can get married.
Eric was happy about the pregnancy. He always wanted to have a family, and now at 38 it was happening. So Eric went out and purchased a ring from Walmart. Officially proposed to Connie, and then he moved in with Connie and the kids. They were one big happy family. Section 4. The loss. At the end of the first trimester, Connie informed Eric that she was not expecting. The initial results from the home pregnancy test were incorrect, which is an occurrence that can happen on occasion. Eric was really looking forward to having a child and took the news very hard. At this point, the dynamics of their relationship had shifted. Connie's feelings for Eric had grown distant. Connie told Eric,
Let's call off the engagement. I think it would be best if we were just roommates.
Eric moved to a different bedroom but maintained his role within the household. He viewed Connie and her children as his own family, taking care of the bills and looking after the kids when Connie went out with her friends. Even Connie's grandchild from her eldest son, Jack, affectionately referred to Eric as Grandpa. This arrangement persisted for roughly a year, during which Eric hoped things would return to like they were in the early days of their relationship. Them sharing meals as a family and the two of them going on weekend getaways together. Section 5. The shock. Eric is at work one day and he received a text from Connie telling him,
I want you to move out. Go get your stuff now. And be gone before I get home from work.
He had left work early. He was totally shocked by the text. On the drive to Connie's apartment, Eric had thought about the previous night when Connie had once again asked him for money. Eric said he didn't have any money to give to her. She was mad, but for real, girl, you were that upset? He packed up his things and took them to his parents' house. It took a couple of trips, but he got everything. Section 6. The truth. Eric had called Connie and asked her what was wrong, and he wanted to know why she had kicked him out. She said,
It's just not working out.
We can work on it. Maybe see a counselor.
Connie exploded.
Work on it? There's nothing to work on. I never loved you. My boyfriend had gone to prison, and I just needed someone to pay the bills. You are a slob, and I just can't take it anymore. You are driving me crazy. And let's be perfectly clear, I never thought I was pregnant. I just told you that. I know how much you want to have a family and children, and I knew you would want to do the right thing by moving in and taking care of things. Now that my real boyfriend is out, I don't need you anymore. Thanks for serving your purpose.
This entire rant was screamed into the phone, and then she hung up. This shocked Eric to the core. He was devastated. The realization that the woman he adored and envisioned a future with was merely exploiting him, even finding him repugnant, pushed him to his limits. His world seemed to whirl around him, a severe throbbing headache exacerbated by the slightest glimmer of light. He felt nauseated and was unable to eat. Incapacitated, he spent a week confined to bed, shrouded in darkness and shielded by an eye mask. Section 7. Road to recovery. Once Eric had recovered, he became very angry. He told his coworkers,
Connie was a cold-blooded heifer. She just used me to get what she could get, then the skag sends me a text telling me to get out. A text? Really? Whoa.
His coworkers were all sympathetic and told him he was better off without her. One of his coworkers, Rachel, said in a half-joking manner,
Let's roll up on that skanky piece of trash. Just say the word. We got your back.
Eric just laughed it off, but later that night, while lying in bed, he began to form a plan. Section 8. The plan. Eric was able to find out from Memo Pad and Connie's son, who Eric still had a good relationship with, that Connie's boyfriend had been released from prison and they planned to get married. Eric had reflected, all the time he was thinking they were one big happy family. Connie was in constant contact with her imprisoned boyfriend, making plans for when he got released. Those plans included drop-kicking Eric to the curb because he would no longer be needed. It had turned out that Connie's boyfriend was released 1 week before Connie told Eric to get out. She had waited because some bills were coming due and she wanted Eric to pay them before she kicked him out. Eric could remember how angry he felt knowing that Connie had played him big time. Within a month after Cal's release from prison, Cal and Connie got married at the courthouse. Soon Eric was hearing the marriage wasn't going so well. Cal would go missing for days and was being verbally abusive, constantly berating Connie and saying things like,
You are a big fat ugly pig. I can't stand to look at you. I'm out of here and I'll be back when I get back.
Section 9. Action. When Eric was not working, he would follow Connie and Cal. He wasn't sure why, he just did. Then one night he was following Cal. He pulled off onto the shoulder of the road. There were no other cars on the road, so Eric drove by him and pulled into a deserted parking lot up ahead. He turned off his lights and watched to see what Cal was doing. He was driving Connie's unreliable car, and Eric had assumed he was having car problems. Cal had got out of the car and opened the trunk. A couple of seconds later he slammed the trunk closed and started walking back the way he had came. He appeared to have had something in his hand, but Eric could not tell from that distance what it was. Eric pulled out of the parking lot with his headlights off and began to drive towards Cal. When Cal passed under a street light, Eric could make out a gas can in his hand. Eric had seen a gas station about a half-mile back that must be where he was heading. Eric had stopped the car, thought for a couple of seconds, then he turned on his headlights and began to drive. When Eric got within 20 feet of Cal, he floored the gas pedal and aimed the vehicle straight at him. At the last second, Cal turned to see the car coming straight towards him. It was too late for him to react. Eric's car hit Cal, sending him flying through the air and landing 30 feet away on the side of the road. Eric looked around and the street was still deserted. There were no homes or businesses in the area. Eric had pulled up to where Cal had landed and looked at his twisted and mangled body. He could tell there was no way he survived that hit. Cal was dead. Eric slowly drove off. Before Eric went back to his parents' house that night, he went to a 24-hour car wash. He meticulously washed the car and inspected the damage. Within a week, he was able to get the damage repaired. When asked, he said he had hit a deer. Eric did not want to raise suspicions, so he told as few people as possible about hitting a deer. Section 10. The Aftermath. Eric could not believe how calm he felt. He did not feel guilty or anxious, he felt nothing. In the following days he watched the news, but he didn't see anything about Cal. Connie's son told Eric that Cal had been killed by a hit-and-run driver and the police didn't have any clues. Jack didn't think the police really cared about solving the case because they saw Cal as a nobody ex-convict. Eric had thought to himself, "Jack, I hope you are right." Since there were no witnesses and there wasn't any evidence found at the scene, it was ruled a hit-and-run homicide and put in the cold case file. Eric had thought one down, one to go. Now all Eric had to do was wait. He didn't know how long, but he knew it would happen eventually. But in the meantime, Eric wanted to be in a relationship, so he had tried some dating sites. There were a couple of women he initially connected with. They would meet up, but things soon fizzled out. Section 11. Full circle. It had been a little over a year since Cal had died, and what Eric had been waiting for finally happened. Connie texted him saying,
"I'm sorry for the way I treated you. Let's get together and talk."
Eric did not make a special effort this time for the meet-up. He knew he didn't have to. He wondered what conniving Connie's approach would be. When they met in the park, Connie told Eric,
"I am so sorry for the way I treated you. I've started going to church and I am trying to make amends for wrongs I have done. How I treated you has really weighed heavy on my heart. I don't know why I did it. I have prayed about it and I have asked God to make me a better person. God spoke to me and told me to come to you and sincerely apologize. I hope you will forgive me."
Without skipping a beat, Eric said,
Of course I forgive you.
After the "I found Jesus, will you forgive me" conversation, Eric and Connie would talk on the telephone often. About a year later, Connie said to Eric,
"Aren't you tired of living in your parents' basement? You should buy a house.
I can't afford a house.
You could have housemates to help you pay the mortgage, the kids, and I can be your housemates and pay you rent that you can apply to your mortgage."
Eric decided he wanted to have his family back together again. He wanted to be with Connie and the kids. After all, Connie was now a born-again Christian. She had changed her ways. If not, skanky heifer, watch out, because I'm not the one who's going to get kicked to the curb. So they went house hunting and finally found a house that was perfect for Eric to buy. They were now one big happy family again. From the doorway, Eric watched Connie sleep. Eric said softly,
Sleep well, sweetie. We are housemates now, but it's just a matter of time.
Eric smiles and gently closes the door. The end of part 1.
A 2024 PMM production.